I want the members of the media and all of us who are here, first of all, I want to thank everybody for coming. And one of the reasons the NAACP stands with our Latino brothers and sisters and immigrant brothers and sisters is because we fought the open door. Our whole history for 105 years has been fighting the open doors. We remember, we know what it means to have doors closed. There was a time when African Americans, though they lived in this state, could not go to schools in this state, like UNC, North Carolina State. We lived here, we worked here, we paid taxes here. But the only thing that kept us out was the brownness of our skin. And people were seen as threats. This young lady is all of our daughter. She's my daughter. She's this community's daughter. And did you just hear some of the things that she said? A 4.0 grade point average. Lived in this state for 5 years. Currently the law says if any other student were to be here for a year, they would not have to pay out-of-state tuition. She's been here 5 years. She's done all the right things, like so many others. She's performed at the highest level. And the irony of it is they asked her to serve on the downtown advisory board to welcome people to Raleigh. That's an eerie irony, that she was asked to be a part of the team to welcome people to this city and to this state, and yet when she goes to apply for college or someone like her, they are told they are not welcome unless they pay out-of-state tuition when they have already paid their dues in-state and have already been a benefit to this state. We use her scores, her 4.0. They help rank our schools. We use her 4.0 when we say, look at what kind of students our schools can produce. But then after all of that and meeting all of the qualifications, she's kept out. We do this every Christmas Eve because while people are beginning now to think about their trees and think about tinsel, the real story of Christmas, there were some tragedies. There was the tragedy of a baby being kept out of an inn simply because of his class, his kind, and his color. Kept out, locked out 2,000 years ago. And what we're saying is it's time for us in this nation to stop repeating that ugly history of declaring that there's no room in the inn. There's plenty room in the inn.
Plenty of room.
Plenty room in the inn. And as our old folk used to say, there's plenty good news, Governor, if we would dare to believe that good news. Not welcoming and not opening opportunities for children. I want to hear this. For children is just wrong. And it's extreme and it's racial politics. That's all it is.
Amen.
Immigrant children should not have to pay more to go to school in a state where they have already finished high school. But that is the pattern of extremism that's being exhibited by our governor, being exhibited by leaders of this state and the General Assembly, because we see it over and over again. You remember when they were talking about immigrant children coming here just this past year, and the governor worried about the health risk of children, knowing that all of them would be screened, and that's the health risk. You know, we as African Americans have heard that before. It used to be one of the things that why they didn't want to integrate schools, is they said, you know, if those black children come to these schools, they bring health risk. Governor, those are old arguments.
Amen.
Old racialized politics. And we can do better than that in this state. In fact, in the NAACP, we're calling for full immigration reform. It's time.
Amen.
It's time.
Amen. It's time.
Governor, you say you care about children, but look at all of the policies that you have passed that have hurt children. From denying health care and denying increasing minimum wage and living wage and denying real funding to public education. But we need full immigration reform. You know, recently the president did an executive order that provides temporary status to the parents of children born in the United States and the expansion of the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program. You know why that's such a moral thing to do? First of all, we applaud the president for doing what the Congress won't do, even if it's in part. Even if for some people it was a little late. It's time. We're glad that it came. But it's also a moral issue because actually by allowing this, you benefit the economic of our state.
Right.
Because you increase the labor force. And the increase in the labor force would help all of us. It says, one article says that North Carolina had a high application rate for immediately eligible youth under the previous Deferred Action Childhood Arrival. 60% of those immediately eligible applied in North Carolina. If this program, expanded program, generates similar higher application rates, the result will be a greater number of residents in North Carolina benefiting from work authorization and the economy benefiting as well. One factor that continues to limit the economic benefits in North Carolina of DACA is the fact that these students, despite being educated in North Carolina's public schools, are not eligible for in-state tuition at post-secondary institutions. This runs counter to the practices in 17 other states. 17 other states allow students who have graduated from their high schools to pay the same tuition as their classmates at public post-secondary institutions. North Carolina claims to be a progressive state. Well, it's time for us to show that we're truly a progressive state.
Amen.
But it also tells us that if just this piece, just this new immigration change executive order would add $197 million in revenue over the next 5 years. So morally, it's the right thing to do. But economics is also a moral issue. So it's the right thing to do economically. But finally, we say to the governor, to Attorney General Cooper, to the legislature, why don't you be true to the two documents that are always there when you swear to go into office?
Right.
The first document is our Constitution.
That's right.
And in section 1 of Article 1, not Article section 2, section 3, section 4, but in Article 1, section 1, it says the equality and rights of persons. It does not say if you are an immigrant, it says person.
Right.
And it says we hold it to be self-evident that all persons, somebody say person, persons, all persons are created equal.
Amen.
Are endowed, are they created with certain inalienable rights, among which are life, liberty, the enjoyment of the fruit of their own labor, and the pursuit of happiness. That's our ideals in this state. That's who we say we are. But if you go over to that last article, Article 11, or next to the last, Section 4, it says this. Governor, you swore to uphold it. Mr. Attorney General, you swore to uphold it. Members of the legislature, you swore to uphold it. And media, you ought to call them on this. You ought to take it over and read this to them and say, put the mic and say, now how are your policies? Here's what the Constitution says, not what the NAACP said. It says, beneficent provision for the poor, the unfortunate, and the orphan is the first duty of a civilized and Christian state.
Amen.
When you undermine the opportunities for the unfortunate, for people who came here because their parents brought them here searching for a better life, orphaned from their own country, coming here to be a part of this country, and when you hinder them, you are violating the first principle of a civilized state.
Amen.
Those are not my words. Those are the words of the Constitution.
Amen.
You swore to uphold.
Amen.
But not only that, that other document that they put their hand on when they swear to hold this Constitution, when they swear to keep this Constitution, in that book right here, put it right here.
They need to open it.
They need to open it. Not only does it say something about the wrongness of no room in the end, but when they put that left hand, on that Bible and raise that right. Is it right hand? Right hand on the Bible, left hand. Left on the Bible. Raise that right hand to God. In that book, it says this. When, Leviticus 19, a stranger sojourns or an immigrant sojourns with you in your land, you shall not do him or her harm.
Amen.
You shall treat the stranger who sojourns with you as your brother, as your sister, and ensure that they have the same rights that you have. And you shall love the sojourner, the immigrant, as you love yourself.
Amen. Amen.
When you swear to uphold that Constitution, you swear to treat all people equal, like my sister right here and so many. You swear to be a civilized state that does not do harm to the unfortunate. And you swear on a book that says you are bound to treat the immigrant as your own brother or sister and ensure that the same rights you have, the sojourner or the immigrant that's in your midst has.
Amen.
We in this state are in deep violation
Amen.
of our deepest constitutional value and our deepest spiritual value. But we're not without hope. Governor, we can change. Attorney General, you can change. Members of the General Assembly, you can change. And we call on you, and we will continue to call on you here, when we march on our HK-on-J mass mobilization, when we come to the halls of the legislature, when we litigate in court, we will continue to call for change until change comes. Because we are those who believe there's still room. There's still room in the end, in the schools, in this society, for all people. Amen. Amen. Members of the media, we'll take any questions you have this morning.